Do you think we're known just for heating?
I think our website pictures can sometimes give that impression for some of the products. I think trying to get the word out a little bit more about what we do would be useful.
I think we started as just heating. You know, if you go back to 2014, 2015, the idea was comfort heating for different rooms, different areas of the house. Really, thanks to our customers, we've managed to go through the different layers of what's out there with infrared. I mean, you've heated some fantastic places over the years. If you had to pick one favourite one that you wouldn't categorise as normal heating, but different heating, and we'll explain, what would you pick?
One of the most fun ones that I did was where I did Nestle, because that was one where, you know, like the aero bubbles that you can get.
Aero bars, yeah.
Yeah.
Love the green ones.
The little bubble ones in the packet. They had an issue where, but basically the way that that's made is it's a book, and there's little semicircles on each side of the book, and your mint goes in one side, your milk chocolate goes in the other, clamps shut and makes bubbles, and then it rolls on down the conveyor belt. Their chocolate kept getting too cold and sticking, which shut down the whole production line every single time because they had to go and separate it and start again. And obviously all the chocolate's backed up, so it starts cooling down and they have to do all that again. I went and put a heater directly above the book, and now it just maintains the temperature of the book. So
the warmth, warming the machine,
yeah,
and then the machine opens.
Yeah.
This is like an episode of Inside the Factory. This is brilliant. I love this.
Honestly, it was the best site survey ever as well, because it just smelled like chocolate, like everywhere you went. It was like being in Charli Chocolate Factory.
Free samples or something like that. That's brilliant. I mean, what were they using to try and, or were they just putting up with it? And if it's a cold day in February, they just make do with it?
Yeah, I mean, literally, they were just struggling with it. And when, insider knowledge, there's great big massive buckets all throughout this factory of rejected chocolate. Because
I'll take it.
yeah, I was like, can we eat that? But yeah, they said that workers will, like, the first 2 weeks just like gorge on the wasted chocolate, and then they never want to touch it again because they've made themselves so sick from eating wasted chocolate. Great big massive buckets of wasted chocolate all around this factory where production lines have jammed up. Yeah, they just discard it. A lot of the time they can recycle it back through, but things like the aero bubbles, because they've mixed mint and milk chocolate together, you can't recycle that, so it's waste.
You don't want to buy a different Cadbury's bar and get a few little leftover bubbles in there. Oh, we'll use this one, it's fine.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. So I guess, you know, if we think of a traditional house, it's how much does it cost to run? How quickly is my living room going to get warm? What sort of questions would you get asked in a commercial setting like that?
Running cost always comes into play. It doesn't matter what kind of site it is that you're on. A lot of the time, that is still a concern. It starts to lessen the bigger these plants start to go, because you've got, you know, Joe that works on the plant floor, he's not paying the bills. No. So he has to ask the question as a tick box, but it's not as important. For him, the things that he needs to know is reliability. How often is it going to break down, if it's going to break down at all? Is it going to be a waste product 4 or 5 years? And the company's going to have to reinvest yet again. Is it safe? Because he's got 20 odd staff working underneath it every single day. Is it something that they will come back in a few years and have problems? And is it gonna do the job that it's intended to do as well? Because the amount of times that they buy things because they're sold an absolute dream, and then when it goes in, it just doesn't do the job it needs to do, and that's capex funding gone down the drain, where they could have allocated that to something else.
I would love to know the cost of the pot of wasted chocolate, whether it's retail value or cost value, and the staff time of dealing with that mess, because I guess the machine has to get cleaned again and someone has to separate the book.
There was another site that I did where they make bird fat balls. That's all they make. So when you've got garden tables and stuff like that, the balls of like suet and stuff like that the birds come and eat, that's what they make. And they had a massive issue with the mixture getting too cold in the winter, and they have to add in extra tallow every time it gets too cold to try and keep it at a consistency that they can form things, because they make like Christmas trees and stuff
like beef tallow.
Yeah. Right. So when I went in and did the demonstration, I set my heater up pointing at that machine, and we literally watched the level of the mixture just drop and drop and drop, to the point they had to stop the machine and take tallow out because it was getting to such a good temperature. So then we calculated the percentage reduction of tallow that goes in, and then how much that costs them, because tallow is a very expensive product to buy in. And just on that one micro experiment, they were going to save about £1,000 a year on tallow alone. not energy costs, not staff time, having to fix the machine, just pure tallow product was £1,000 saving. All of these different things that you don't even realise are costs are massive.
Yeah. I mean, you see it's like almost like a buzzword now, tallow for skincare products. I had no idea it could be used for something like this, but it's not identifying and fixing the root cause of the issue. To them, maybe they feel like the cold weather is unavoidable, but with the radiant heat, being able to warm the actual machine itself and keep the chill off, that's brilliant. That's such a cool application. What else would you put into the realms of not your usual heating? We've had chocolate, we've had birds on tallow mix.
Yeah. I mean, any of the animal sites,
Yeah.
I would say, because they are a little bit different.
What, like enclosures or?
Yeah, enclosures. When we've done animal rescue centres, the idea of using the infrared heat is a great solution for them, because especially when a small animal is sick, it's very hard for those kind of animals to regulate their core temperatures. And that's one of the biggest battles that they have, is keeping an animal warm long enough that it can naturally recover itself to then be re-released. So the infrared, because it's targeting the animal's body, it's heating its core temperature without the animal really having to do anything. A lot of the time they'll put like hot water bottles under them, stuff like that. The time it takes out of replacing the hot water bottle, filling it up again, putting a new one in place. Yeah. So for them...
How did Johnny die? He replaced hot water bottle in the tiger enclosure.
Yeah. It's a really good way of getting heat very quickly into an animal that is struggling.
It was a sun-like heat, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like animals would be more inclined. I mean, my cat, Timmy, loves sitting in front of an infrared panel on an evening because it's a natural type of heat. Same with your pets.
Yeah.
You know, it's heat as nature intended. And you see it, don't you? You go away for a trip out to the zoo and they often say, or you hear comments, how do the animals manage to stay here or acclimatise here, these exotic creatures? And I think having the enclosures adequately heated is super, super important. But again, it's hard because the zoos are sometimes volunteer-led, not for profit. So again, the same questions come up. How much does it cost to run? How much does it cost to buy? How much does it cost to maintain? I can absolutely see that with zoos and animal enclosures. No different to the same questions that are asked by the chocolatiers.
A lot of the questions that you get on site transfer. The only thing that really changes is the environment that we're treating. A lot of the core concerns are the same no matter where you go. It's running costs, effectiveness, longevity, and the safety side of things. Those are the kind of the four core things that I get every single time.
And will it do the job?
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't know that answer because concrete drying, we'd never done that before. And sometimes we're honest with the customers and say, look, we haven't done this before, but in theory, it should work. Why don't we take a cross-section or a sample and try it out? And you've seen some really good tests with the concrete drying in the past. Does it always go perfectly? Absolutely not. If it was a proven formula, it would already be out there and we wouldn't be asked the question of, can you guys do it? But the idea is you take the radiant heat and warm an object directly, not through the air particles, and that helps cure things. So not just the concrete, but we had the resin molds on a conveyor belt. Could the infrared suspended above resin molds cure the resin faster so the conveyor belt could move quicker, which in turn more molds could be produced? Again, we take one conveyor belt, not the whole factory over on a risk. So yeah, things that aren't heating fascinate me. And again, we never set out with the intention of doing it, but we listen to these customers' requests. And I think it's a big reward for people that look at their business or they look at their setup and they challenge it and ask the question of, is there another way of doing this? You know, like in our warehouse, we have no interest in heating the whole warehouse. There's no point. But the picking and packing stations make sense. Where in your business or in your home or in your side business could you look at and go, actually, we could do this better. We could dry paint faster, or we could improve this. I feel like the number of applications out there are still not fully discovered.
No, I mean, like I say, for example, the tallow situation, I didn't go there to fix their problem with tallow mix. I went there to heat workers because the workers were literally so cold in this factory that they were trying to work with gloves on, but because of the nature of the work they were doing, they just couldn't.
No.
So they needed heating, and it was just one of those things as we're walking around, and when we walk around these sites, we talk about different pain points and is there anything else? Because of the way that you can use infrared, and it's not just a form of space heating, you can use it so much more targeted. That's a question that you can have when you're walking around these sites is, what pain points do you have? What problems in manufacturing do you have? And see if there is anything that caters to it. And they just so happened to mention this machine, and that's where I set up the heater, and we watched it live happen. Whereas a lot of the pilot schemes and the test schemes that we do, it's a case of after I've already gone, ordering the bits in and doing a test area. That one we could just do live while we were stood there. So it was a really lucky one to be able to do. Having a look on these sites, and we can help as well in terms of picking out where would be a good test site, because we're not looking for you to invest loads of money and then it doesn't work, because quite frankly we don't want to take them back.
No, we don't want to use back.
Keep them. That's part of the survey process, is helping to identify where are the areas where this would make a fantastic test area. It's only a small commitment up front, but it's going to give us a really good evidence of, is this the right choice?
And sometimes we can't always survey. Sometimes a place doesn't permit outside access for whatever reason. Understand. Hopefully Coca-Cola reach out one day and find out the recipe. But yeah, whether it's through an in-depth description, pictures on WhatsApp, it could be anything. And then they order heaters and we put them where we instruct and they give it a go like that. That's another way around the problem. A lot of these machines or these applications are very expensive. But I think business interruption, in whatever form that takes, can be massively expensive, because you're thrown into the mix, the machine, the workers involved with the machine, and the missed opportunity from selling that product or a lost product. Kennels, catteries, gyms, hotels, I'd say yoga, Airbnbs. Out of those different names, which one do you think's popping off right now?
In the last 2 weeks, I've dealt with kennels and catteries, hot yoga.
3.
And Airbnbs.
Okay, it's not bad. It's healthy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a versatile product. I think that's what it is. I think time of year as well lends itself really well. Everyone's trying to get prepared pre-winter, which is the absolute best advice I can give as well. If anybody's looking at changing heating systems, now is the best time to do it. Don't wait to change your heating system out when it's already freezing cold and you're desperate for a heating system. It's best to do it when it's already hot.
So you've had this before on site, switches to business cap. They say we'd love to, but we can't afford to have the transition between the heating, because there's going to be a few days that they're without the heating going to the new one, and that makes sense. So they're rewarded in the summertime. So I feel like when you put your business cap on, sometimes very different, but when it's domestic, it's now I'm freezing cold, or now I'm fed up of paying X or Y, now I need to change over, and it's different, isn't it? It is different.
Yeah. Domestically is a lot more emotional, because it's your house and it's your safe space and it's everything like that. So there's a lot of emotion that goes into it, because you see that really high energy bill and think, I need to do something about this. Yeah. Or you have a particularly really cold winter that you just struggle through and you think there's not a chance I'm doing next winter like this again. That's all very emotional. Whereas in business, it's very much what is going to keep this working, what is going to keep the site running, what is going to keep profits coming in. It's a different mindset completely. So yeah, it's dealing with the two different sides.
Yeah, I can see it as well. I mean, we've done this for long enough now. We've seen many a summer, and I mean, we're filming this during one of the hottest weeks this year, and some people think you're crazy for plugging away at the heating. It's not always like that. I would strongly say, after doing this for over 12 years, springtime is quieter than summer. That is the stealthy season for us as a heating business. We use it as an opportunity to do other things, address other things in the business, because summer's going into the cold weather, whereas spring is okay enough, but we're going into the warm weather. That season is where it's very quiet for businesses that are seasonal like ours, as compared to the summer. I love the warmer weather for sure. It's such a, you've got school holidays, you've got everything going on, but it's not long lived in the UK. So getting your heating sorted in summer rewards the organised person for sure. So I think that's great advice.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the news right now, they're talking about the heat dome. Have you heard about the heat dome?
Yeah, and France is banning outdoor drinking because it's getting too hot.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that going down well in England, but
I mean, when I heard of the heat dome, I was thinking of the Simpsons movie where they fly the big dome. But yeah, even in the heat dome, we've still got people calling in and buying full systems. It's the smart thing to do, I think, is in these times when you don't need to be running anything externally, get everything swapped out, get all your ducks in a row. So by the time we come round, because the other thing that benefits with that as well is the residual heat and the thermal store that it creates in your house as well. When you put infrared into a new room and it's cold, it has to work harder because it's having to build and establish a heat level in that building's fabric. If you do it while it's hot and then just kick straight into it as the weather starts to drop, the house has already retained so much heat over the summer that the infrared's almost pretty much full efficiency, ready for when the weather drops.
Yeah, heating the actual mass of the room is essential for how effective infrared is. And it's not something that's often talked about because there's a lot of technical jargon and science behind it. But in simple terms, when the walls are already warm through the outside weather, then trickling that over into winter makes a lot of financial sense for keeping the running costs at a minimum. I mean, the best example for that for me is in the middle of winter. If you've ever had an air-based heating system in a bathroom and it's fully tiled, it doesn't matter how much you work that traditional tower rail or air-based heater, it can feel really cold on that stonework. So actually heating the mass of the room and that being your best friend is, I think, really, really important.
Absolutely.
Cool. Let's zoom in then on the kennels and the catteries. Again, not something that people may associate with infrared heating. Why?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are very protective of their pets. And like I said earlier, a concern or a query that I get quite a lot is infrared safe? And we're going to protect our kids and we're going to protect our pets. Those are the main things. I've got however many pets. I would never subject them to something that I didn't know for myself was 100% safe. And I think that's probably what it comes down to is if there's already a little bit of concern over, is it safe for me? Then there's absolutely no way I'm putting anything near the ones that can't have a say in it. But infrared is a really effective way of heating kennels and catteries, pets. As I say, we do all these safari parks, these zoos, animals, because it's so akin to natural sunlight in the way that it targets the body. It's very effective and it's a very comfortable heat for them. Edna, over the weekend when it was nice and hot, she absolutely loves basking in the sun. And she'll go out there and lay on the concrete and she flops around. She comes in absolutely filthy.
Topping up a tan.
Yeah, but she comes in filthy, but she just has like the best time because it's so warm. Cats love basking, dogs love basking. Obviously snakes, famous for it, reptiles famous for it, rabbits, guinea pigs, anything like that. They love it because for them, it's a boost to their core temperature, which is the main thing. That's why cats will sleep for, I think it was like 12 hours a day.
I think they're just behind bats, aren't they, or something?
Yeah. Like, if they're warm and they're cozy, they're going to sleep. Winnie, I haven't seen in like a week because she's just sleeping.
Basking.
Yeah, just enjoying it, having a great time. So yeah, it's an ideal kind of heat for those sort of environments, kennels, catteries. It's completely safe for them. So I understand the concern, but we put them into zoos and safari parks. These kind of places as well, animal environments and habitats. If it's not the right technology, if it's not kept to the right temperature, if the animals aren't looked after properly, they lose their licenses. So if it wasn't a good technology to be around animals, we wouldn't have done all of these environments that we've done. So yeah, it's a great heat if you've got pets or if you look after animals as a living. It's a really good way of getting heat into those spaces.
Yeah, because you also have dogs with a different amount of hair. You know, you've got short hair versus a long hair breed. Being able to have different temperatures inside the different kennels is essential. There's no way you'd want central heating and then one dog's suffering and one dog's not warm enough.
Yeah.
So being able to have extra heat in this one, less in this one, absolutely makes sense. And also depends on occupancy. If you're in a quiet time, you don't want to heat the whole kennels or cattery to top whack. It doesn't make sense. Half of them are unoccupied. And again, when you've got loads of occupancy, maybe that in turn raises the base temperature anyway, having all the animals in there. So the ability to micromanage, have this level of control will improve the pet's comfort. You don't want it to lead to distress. So I think that is so important, giving people that are passionate about pets a proper heating system that they can use long term without the risk. And wall space is at a premium as well. So I think 9 times out of 10, if someone's done some amount of research about infrared and they're in these industries or have these pets and animals, it's fair to say it's normally about ceiling panels, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of the time, going back as well to what we were saying before about productivity, with a lot of systems, when you're trying to heat animal environments, if you're using like gas-fed systems or just heating a big open space from just one central point, if that goes down, your environment loses temperature rapidly.
Yeah.
Whereas with these, every single one is independent. So if you had the unlucky occasion that one heater went down, your environment is still going to stay within the safe parameters until that's either fixed or back up or swapped out or whatever it needs to happen with it. But yeah, it depends on the type of environments. But ceiling is always a really good option for those kind of spaces because you can always get direct line of sight to everywhere that you need to heat. And also there's some animals that we deal with, like the rhinos or the tigers, the giraffes, stuff like that, where wall space isn't a great idea for them. Like, putting them up high is always a lot better than having them at low level, especially when we're dealing with animals who don't realise what it is and they want to get as close to a heat source as they physically can. They would press themselves up against it all day if they could, which is fine, but it's not ideal for the heat overall. So just lifting it out of the way, they get all of the benefit, but we still utilise the most of the space.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It's been so cool hearing about these different applications. I hope you found it interesting hearing that infrared is not just for normal heating, but any application. What would you encourage people to consider if they're at home and had whatever going on to think about heating in a different way?
It's just thinking outside of what we've traditionally always been used to. Ceiling heating is a really good way of heating a space, but as soon as you mention about putting a heater on the ceiling, everyone thinks hot air rises. It doesn't with the infrared. So it's just thinking outside of these norms that we've been so, boxed into, and having an open mind to things. If you don't understand it, then that's totally fine. Like, that's what we're here to talk you through and help you with. But there are so many more options outside of a wet fed radiator.
Yeah.
There's so many more things that we can do. If you've got offices that you go to work in, or you've got a workshop that you stand in for multiple hours of the day, or all these different places, it could really help for several different reasons. So that's what we're here to guide you on.
Yeah, 100%. Other ones spring to mind: home gyms, converted garages, outbuildings in whatever shape they may take, conservatories, they get mothballed for winter.
Yeah.
Doors shut, never use them. Pergolas, really good one. Yeah, patios, arts and crafts, 3D printing, so many applications. But look, we'll wrap up Hot Take episode 3 right there. It's been a pleasure having Charli talk about all things not usual heating. And yeah, tune in for the next episode.